Welcome everybody, it's Unstoppable Sletzy here, and I got another Age of Empires 3 Definitive Edition casted match for you today. Another one of Breaking Me's Chinese. This time he's actually going to be taking on another China, the Ever Province China to be exact. Now we're going to get to see if the Breaking Me build of China actually stands up against a more standard or maybe not build of the other China. At this point, who even knows, you know what I mean? I didn't even know porcelain towers were a good starting wonder until I saw Breaking Me, so who knows what the other China's going to do at this point. You can't trust your builders anymore in this world, definitely. Yeah, so let's get started with the map so we know what's going to be really interesting for both Chinas on this map. One thing that should pop out right away on this map, look at how close the town center is to the trade socket. This is a very close proximity right here. Look at that proximity. This is going to be great for Chinese build orders since they always rely on a trading post, right? Or at least most of the time. So this is going to be really convenient for the Chinese players here. Definitely. And another thing too, you got this sort of marshy part in the middle of the map. This is going to make battle and setting up your forward bases kind of interesting as well. Also, you got the House of Jagiellonian over here, as well as the House of Oldenburg, so some pretty solid natives across the board as well, giving you some pretty good units that the Chinese Civ obviously doesn't have, so that's really nice. Particularly the House of Oldenburg, I would say, over the other one, but still. Let's get started now. Alright, so Breaking Me's Chinese. It's totally a very different take on the Chinese than anything I've ever seen playing Wars of Liberty or the Asian Diocese. So what Breaking Me has figured out is if you use the T export card that just about every China does nowadays, you can actually opt to go the French consulate, pick up the 400 food crates as like an immediate research out of that thing once you get the export for it, and then use that 400 food is sort of a stimulus to get yourself into Age 2 faster with the Wonder Age up. That's pretty interesting, you know. For years and years playing the Asian Diocese, what I always did was I would always get the infinite 300 food, thinking that I needed that to boost myself up. And it also almost made China feel like they're sort of a detriment in their economy because it felt like, oh, I don't get to ship in 3 villagers like the Europeans do. I have to sadly settle for crates of food to make up for my eco, and it sort of felt like China was, you know, economically stagnant. But with this new sort of setup in Definitive Edition with the French consulate, now you're starting to see that China can actually get really ahead and catch up to the Europeans pretty well now. Get a lot more value, you know what I mean? Because, of course, with the French consulate, not only do you basically get that 400 food right away once you research it at the consulate, but your villagers actually gather slightly faster while the French allies is active as well, so there's that added reward. And look at right there, the T-Export card is coming in right now. Yep. You get a consulate, so about 200 wood value, which is great. Another 100 export immediately. And then you get a trickle of about 0.35 export per second, so that is really good. That will benefit you for basically the rest of the game. So even 20-30 minutes into the game, you're going to be getting your allied units faster than everybody else who doesn't have that card. So that's really neat. Before we get too carried away with how insane this Breaking Me build is of China, let's see what the other China's doing. So the other China does get the T-Export card as well. I think that's kind of a given at this point. I'd be pretty shocked if China didn't get that. Looks like they do not have any sort of trading posts yet, but we do see a market. Very, very interesting. I rarely ever see China's get a market like that. That's something we normally see more with the Europeans and sometimes the Native American civs doing that. So, kind of a different play already. The consulate ally of Russians, though, is pretty standard. It's a pretty common thing for Chinese to go for the Russian allies first because they can spend some of their export that they've accrued through their villages' work as well as that export trickle from T-Export to actually get a blockhouse. The blockhouse not only acts as a bit of defense like maybe the outposts you get with the Governor General with the Europeans, but it also lets you train banner armies out of it too, so it acts as a barracks. as well, saving you a lot of wood in the process, which is pretty neat. Now, what do we have here? Wow. I was expecting a Summer Palace, or maybe what Breaking Me was doing, but I did not expect this. Temple of Heaven. Going for the Healing Wonder. I have never seen this before in high-level play, or at least not like mid to high ELO play before. I've seen some lower-level players do this before, but I've never seen this be done before on a larger scale with opponents like Breaking Me as the opponent before. So I'm wondering what he's thinking of here. I did do some research before on the Age of Empires wiki about this, and apparently if you get the Temple of Heaven as your first constructed wonder, you get about 3 free villagers from it. So as far as value from the reward is for going with this wonder, it's almost like some of the politicians we see in Wars of Liberty with the nation states. So like the Greeks, the Serbs, the Romanians, they have politicians like this that will actually give you about 3 free villagers. About the same value as an Age 1 ship in the Vills, so that's quite good actually, you know. It'll set the villager count of our blue Chinese friend up here a little bit ahead of that of Breaking Me. However, Breaking Me does have the advantage of starting out with the Porcelain Tower. This is great because this is another building that he can choose to trickle any way he wants. He can set it on to just food like he is doing right now. He can swap it to coin, he can swap it to wood, or he can set it into the default mode where it trickles a little bit of food, wood, and coin as well as export in sort of a combination. It's quite interesting how he does that sort of thing. And now what we see here is 700 coin coming in from Breaking Me, setting up for a nice fast fortress. If we know anything about Breaking Me's China at this point, he loves to go fast fortress into the Mongolian banner army, and then sends the Beiyang shipment, not only send a big number of both units in the Mongolian banner army, but also researching their veteran upgrade for free. So it's a really good value. And he does a pretty good job at setting it up, mainly by the support of the Porcelain Tower and the way it macros his vills. So very different take on China than what we're used to, pretty much, yeah. And then going in from Age 2 to 3, he hits it a bit more standard, going for the Confucian Academy. And then later on in the match, from what I've seen from him, he actually goes from the French once he feels comfortable with his resources, and then actually goes more standard towards the British to get the additional HP on his military, which I think is pretty good, you know. Also, as far as allied units is concerned, they give you redcoats, a musketeer, something you don't actually get as the Chinese, which I think is quite a good bargain, you know. That's sort of what the consulate's supposed to do for you, you know. Give you access to units that you can't actually train with your native civ. So, I mean, to me, that's a lot of value. Looks like over here from Ever Province, we do see some Kijiks and Steppe Riders. So, sort of the same sort of unit comp that Breaking Me likes to do. Big time. Looks like we actually are going to see some Vill casualties here. This one up here. Oh, he's like, You're doing the same units I do, sir? Oh, big time. He's probably really shocked that that happened. Lucky. Yep, that's RNGesus looking down on you from the heavens. Big time. Very lucky to get 2 Vills that easily, you know? Because we know Breaking Me likes to use his castle, and he loves to turtle properly in his base around his villages and castles. So, I mean, the fact that he got 2 Vills that easy from them trying to look for hunts up there, that was a pretty lucky find, my friend. And me, unlucky. Yeah. Instead of Breaking Me, maybe it's going to be called Unlucky Me at some point. Definitely. But we'll see, though. We'll see. What's the blue China doing? Is the blue one going to age up? Yep, he's aging up with the Confucian Academy. Yep, this is probably the poster boy of Age 3 wonders for everybody. Namely because not only does it give you the free flying crows over time, but in particular the transition from Age 2 to 3 age up, it'll grant you some arquebusiers as well, about 8 of them to be exact, like Breaking Me already has here. And he's coming in right now with Qingdao Swordsmen and arquebusiers, so this China up here is going to have to be pretty careful about that, you know? In particular, just having a few mountain units is not great when you got that many Qingdaos coming towards you. You're going to need some sort of anti-heavy infantry for that. Big time. Yeah, quite interesting, though, to see both of these Chinas sort of sticking to the similar banner army, you know, going for the Mongolian army. Quite different. What's going on at the consulate? He's canceling out the Russians. Probably going to go for either A, the British, or B, the Germans, jawohl. It really depends on what he's looking for. If he's looking for extra resources, he might go Germans. If he's looking for stats, he'll go more British. Would be pretty shocked if he ended up following in Breakenby's footsteps and going French there. That'd be quite different. So the arquebusiers have arrived. You do have an answer to these Changdaos and Kijiks finally. And you do have a chance of actually making some sort of impact against the invading army there. Got about 2 Mongolian banner armies mixed up there with your arquebusiers. Is kind of outnumbered right now, but Breakenby still decides to pull back just because he probably needs a little bit of artillery or something to get the siege going. Oh boy, it looks like he shipped in some step riders. Big time. Look at that big batch right there. Yeah, if we look at the deck real quickly, yep, he sent the 10 step rider shipment. And probably Biang is right down the road too. You know, that's probably going to be the next one if you get some more pop space, which should be arriving very soon. Looks like, yep, there we go. Shipping it in for 1,000 food. Very good. Oh, wait, yep, there it is, Biang Army. Free veteran upgrade for both the Step Rider and the Kijik. Gets his army up to age 3, pretty much. How's Ever Province doing? He's actually going for intervention. Now, what intervention does is it sends you a designated battalion of units from your consulate, which varies from civ to civ, right? I know in Wars of Liberty, the units you get are very different than the ones you get in the Asian dynasties and Definitive Edition, so it'll be interesting to see what he gets here. So he ends up getting a mix of about 9 redcoats since he's the British, so that's pretty good, about 9 musketeers. These will in particular be really good against step riders, defend against them, protecting the arquebusiers, but do provide a bit of range cover support to deal with Changdaos too. So I mean, there's a bit of flexibility there, honestly. And what is this? We see the Black Flag Army. So this provides you some meteor hammers and some Changdaos. So kind of a very different banner army than what we're used to. Yeah. Something totally different than what we see Breaking Me normally get. I've seen Breaking Me get territorial armies so far, but definitely not those ones. So, kind of a bit of a change to things there. Flying Crow is developing for Province. Is it out already for Breaking Me? Yep, it's already coming in the back over here. Let's see if it makes a big difference or not. I still think, though, Province needs a bit more military here if he's going to survive this whole thing. He's already switching consulate allies once again. What could he possibly be going for now? Is he going for the French? Is he going for the Russians? What is his game plan? Does it even matter at this point? Because it's not like he's going to be able to afford much once he switches, right? What's that? So he just re-allied with the British once again? Is that right? Oh no, that was Breaking Me. I was like, wait a second, what's going on? Oh, that was him! Kind of fell asleep there for a second, but alright, makes sense. Makes sense. Yeah, so I think in this situation, definitely Province is going to want to wait for his Flying Crow to arrive if he has enough time, potentially. See, I don't want you really going forward with those step riders because he's got a line of Kijiks there ready to shoot their arrows at him and basically wipe them out completely. You kind of have to make sure you have the proper cover fire. But unfortunately, in this pressure-filled situation, you might not have that time to do so. Yeah, right now, it looks like a few meteor hammers arrive with the Changdaos, so Changdao shipment arrives, emergency units from the TC arrive. Let's see if they're enough to basically force a split in Breaking Me's forces there. Also, the Flying Crow arrives finally. Yeah, he could use that Flying Crow to potentially snipe Breaking Me's one right now. That would be a good use of it. Yep, you use it exactly for that. Very good. Let's see how much value he gets out of it. Yeah, he gets a good shot on the Arquebusiers. That was a good shot. Good volley there. Now, what you're going to have to do now if you're provinces is make sure you can accumulate more units now to protect your base. Because now, you got a Flying Crow. One more than Breaking Me has, but it's very low HP right now. You're going to need to do everything you possibly can to protect that thing. Ships in Kizik's. Sends in the big boy army, the green one, the Imperial army. Gives you a mixture. Actually, no, this isn't the biggest boy one, right? It gives you Arquebusiers and Iron Flails, so it's, you know, it's not quite as big as the green one that gives you the Beer Hammers with the Iron Flails, but still, it's mostly emphasized on anti-infantry, which in particular is what probably you're going to need here. You still need anti-cav for Breaking Me's Mongolian banner armies, but yeah, he still has a big line of Arquebusiers there, so yeah, Iron Flails will be a great solution to that. Actually goes for the Senar Horsemen, a pretty good hand cavalry mercenary, good against skirms, so that'll be good against that pretty much. Iron Flail gets a good hit in there, but unfortunately the Kiziks completely sweep him. So he's going to need to group up a bit better here if he wants to handle Breaking Me's army more efficiently. Senar Horsemen should be coming out very soon in a nice batch. And then he should be able to get a good setup going, yeah. Oh, he gets another one of those Black Flag armies from the Blockhouse. That's pretty good. Give him some more Meteor Hammers and oh yeah, that'll be quite nice. Good combo of things. What is he shipping in now? Now he's getting Repelling Volley. How much Shang Daos does he? See, this is the... I mean, it does give his Arquebusiers more range damage, so I can't complain too much. I was just a little bit skeptical because I don't see any Shang Daos anymore, so I'm like, you're not going to get that benefit from the card anymore. It's simply just the range damage boost, which is good. It's good. Definitely. Definitely good. Let's see what happens now. It looks like he breaks off some of his Step Riders, and he's going to look to do a bit of raiding. Well, these vills are right here, so he doesn't have to look too far, honestly. He's going to get those guaranteed. I mean, you can't miss those ones, right? Definitely not. It does alert Blue, though, that he's being attacked over there by Step Riders, and he might respond to it and such. Maybe. Does look like his Flying Crow number 2 will be out very soon, which would be great for his overall defense. Breaking Me's got his Flying Crow coming soon, right? Yeah, well, it's right over here already. So we're going to have to see if having an extra Flying Crow in there is going to make much of a difference. The thing you got to note about Breaking Me, though, is that he's got his hand mortars here. So these dangerous things, these hand mortars. How many of them does he have exactly? He has all 7 of them. So yeah, these are going to be good anti-artillery for sniping the Flying Crows on the province side. Big time. Looks like Breaking Me also ships in the Iron Troop. Wow, these are going to make a huge difference. If you don't know what Iron Troop are, these are basically mercenary archers. So they have the rate of fire of archers. And they have really good armor. They actually have 60% pierce armor. 60% pierce armor. That's more than half, so they barely take any damage from range attacks. Yeah, they're quite tanky against like any sort of Arquebusier, Chukanu. They really can tank those very well. So we're going to see if these Iron Troops makes a huge difference here. I think they are going to, probably. Big time. Also, we got these Senar Horsemen here with their high HP of over 1,000. That is quite big. Trying to make some more Senar Horsemen in time, it looks like. But unfortunately, the fight is just about to begin soon. Oh no, the Flying Crow is in the volley range of those hand mortars. That's kind of unfortunate for you. Yeah, you might have to reposition there a bit. If you have time, that is. If you have time. Alright, is he going to try to get some more Senars out in time? Where is his monastery? It's back here. So he can probably get another batch of those out in time, right? At least you hope so, right? He's going to get double face armor to beef up the HP and armor on his Kijiks, Meteor Hammers, and Iron Flails, so much tankier cavalry across the board. Centaurs are almost out. There we go. Very nice. So let's see what he does there. Yep. Very good. Very nice. Looks like he does break through Breaking Bee's cavalry and is trying to inch towards his Handmores and his Flying Crows there. Let's see if he has enough to make it, though. Meteor Hammers, now that'll make a difference. See, what makes the Meteor Hammers great is they do melee at range. So that big meteor sort of like thing on a rope comes out and hits things beyond the front lines. Looks like they made a bit of a difference, but they didn't quite get the Flying Crow, though. So the Flying Crow does need to still go down. Oh, boy. Yeah, I think it's falling apart for Province very quickly. I mean, he's still trying to eat through the HP of those Iron Troops, which is quite obnoxious. Yeah, and the Flying Crow is still up. Still has to deal with that thing. How's his Flying Crow doing? Can he get that out in time? Looks like he cannot. It's going to be a while before that thing comes out exactly. And I think the big problem's going to be all those Kijiks that are still alive from Breaking Me, honestly. It's going to be really hard to get those, oh yeah, big time. Look at that. Look at that right there. It's going to be really tricky to deal with, yeah. Oh boy. Yeah, he does get the 5 Meteor Hammer thing there. Let's see, though, if he has enough to hit that Flying Crow at least. Gets stopped by the Kijik. Kijik's getting completely in the way at this point, so I mean, it's gonna take a while to get through to. He's not aiming on the Crow though. He's letting the Kijiks do it. Yeah, and I mean, yeah, you kind of had to get those Flying Crows down, man, big time. But GG, good match. That was a good fight though. There was a lot of interesting battles there, big time. So. From what we can see, Breaking Beast China is indeed the superior build, but definitely this Temple of Heaven setup from Province is also something totally new too. Maybe you'll try it. Maybe you will. In terms of post-game, it looks like the Ever Province China, because it starts with the market, actually did quite well and actually made a bit more resources in the end. But that could have also been caused by that really lucky raid at the start, two of those two Breaking Me villagers as well. In terms of the military, it looks like the Breaking Me setup did a little bit nicer there, mainly due to numbers. Mass made a big difference here. I don't think if Breaking Me had that big of a mass, you know, it would have been a much tighter battle, you know. Also, the timing of getting rid of things like the Flying Crows as well was a big factor as well. You know, maybe if Province had Handmores, maybe would have done a bit better. Yeah, things like that. Either way, though, good match from both players. Definitely good to see another Breaking Me game once again. Got some more of them, too, so stay tuned for those ones as well. Sign off now from this one. GG, well played, everybody.